Solar fam. This is your host, Ian of the Intersolar podcast, and I'm beyond excited to have on a very special guest, Carole Baskin. And we're excited to get started. I'm here with Richard as well and John, part of the Solar Dex team. And Carole, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out today to sit down with us and just have a little chat.
Well, hey, all you cool cats and kittens in the Solar family. I am so happy to be here with you guys.
I was just waiting for that, to be honest. So no, I know we were chatting a little bit before this, but yeah, once again, we're huge fans of what you're doing for the community. I'm a big fan of the Tigers beyond anything else, but being a native to Wisconsin, we have a lot of Bobcats too. And I saw that's how the foundation was actually started. So I wanted to kind of give you the floor, give us a little background on your foundation, kind of involve our community into what you're trying to do too.
Well, bobcats are my favorite. I just love them. They are the most fierce animal on the planet. And so many people, when they've come to me with wanting to do different NFTs, I've tried to steer them toward bobcats and they're like, no, we want to do tigers. And it's like, oh, but bobcats are so cool. Hopefully one day there will be a bobcat NFT. The way that our sanctuary, Big Cat Rescue, has been successful, I think, is because I'm always out there looking for the next big thing. And I have the benefit of having an amazing volunteer base. We have over 100 volunteers that do all of the animal care. My daughter, who's been doing this work with me since she was 12, runs the sanctuary and the medical end of it and the administrative part of it. My husband is dealing with most of the lawsuits, dealing with the people like Joe Exotic, dealing with all of the finances and things like that. He's a Harvard MBA. And so that frees me up to try and look at how can we move the needle forward for big cats. I don't think big cats belong in cages at all. And if we're going to tell zoos or people you shouldn't take your kid to the zoo, or tell zoos you shouldn't be in existence, we have to give them an alternative that is viable for them. And that seems to be the big pushback I get are zoos. Most people understand that you shouldn't be beating and shocking tigers into doing stupid pet tricks for circus acts or nightclubs. And they pretty much understand you shouldn't have tigers in your backyard in some crappy little cage, or you shouldn't be killing them for their parts. They're endangered species. So the one big holdout seems to be the idea of zoos. And people say that they need to take their children to the zoo to teach them how to respect wildlife. And like you said earlier, I think it was Ian, you said it's like a prison for cats or a prison for wild animals. That's the worst message we could be teaching kids. So I've been very interested in virtual reality, augmented reality, 360, 3D videos of our cats, currently live webcams of the cats, with the expectation of that technology moving forward to the point where what we can ask zoos to do is to remake themselves into immersive experiences where maybe not everybody can afford a $500 headset to put it on and be in the environment in the wild, getting these live streaming feeds coming in from these real cameras where cats live in the wild. But you could go to the zoo, you could pay your $10 to go to the zoo and have that experience, and yet have it. Did you guys ever see The Void or go to The Void?
I personally have not.
Oh, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And so they did it with the Star Wars experience where you put this headset on and this haptic vest, and then they put you in this room that's pretty much just a room full of like little corridors, knee-high corridors that you think are walls, but they're not really there. It's just what you're seeing in the headset. And when you're being shot, you feel it on the vest. And when you're walking over the lava, you can feel the heat. And, you know, having all of that experience while you're in the headset is just so amazing. And it really transports you there. And that's what I want zoos to do for wild animals, that you are living in their world with them in the wild, not having them held hostage in cages. And so I think NFTs are kind of the gateway drug to that, and that these crypto coins are a way of creating that currency to be able to make those exchanges of a video feed coming in. And by using smart contracts and blockchain, I think the money that people pay in order to see these cats coming down to the water hole in Africa or in the den in the Himalayas raising their cubs, the fees that they're paying for that subscription through the smart chains, through the smart contracts, should go straight into the wallets of the people who actually live by those cats so that they have an incentive to protect them, because the whole world wants to see these amazing animals. And the people who live next to these animals mostly want to kill them because they're killing their livestock and their children and everything else. But if that's their main source of income, they're going to do everything they can to protect those animals. And that means you have to protect the entire environment. And that's good for all of us. That means clean air to breathe and fresh water to drink because we have a healthy planet. So that's my ultimate goal. And this whole thing with NFTs and cryptocurrencies and everything else is the means to that end.
I'll say it because I was looking on your website doing a little bit of research too. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have 2 virtual reality or augmented reality zoos launched currently, right?
Yeah, in 2019, we launched in Tampa the world's first augmented reality zoo. And it was such a huge hit, and we got so much media out of it, and all of these other zoos started saying they were going to do it too. So we launched another one down in Miami as well. Since COVID, the one in Miami has folded because of what COVID is doing to malls, but the one in Tampa is still here. And I took the assets from Miami and donated them to the Museum of Science and Industry that's also here in Tampa so that they could set up an augmented reality type zoo thing in their huge building. So I haven't been able to see that yet, but I'm curious to see how they put it all together over there. And then we created the world's first virtual reality game where you, when you put the headset on, you can do this in Steam or in the Oculus App Labs. It's not in their main store, but it's in App Labs. And you put the headset on, you are transported into a forest in Ranthambore, and the game warden comes over and says, you know, one of our tigers is missing. We need your help to find her. And you've got binoculars and you've got a knife and you've got a dart gun. And you go off and you look for these clues to find the tiger. And when you find each one of these clues, you learn about things about the tiger in the wild, and you learn about poaching and how that's causing the extinction of the tigers. And then you actually find the tiger, and she's been snared by poachers. And so you go through the whole thing that our vet would go through to make sure that the cat is healthy enough to release it. And then you're the person who cuts the snare off and releases the tiger back to the wild and sees it going out there and chasing prey. That's the kind of immersive experience that's going to make today's children care about wanting to protect those cats, not seeing one laying in a cage that's miserable. And so we spent $40,000 on that game. And then and then Tiger King came out and COVID came out, both within 5 days of each other. And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity because all the media is wanting to talk to me. So I'll talk to them about this virtual reality experience. It's called Big Cat Rescue VR. And everybody who did talk about, which was not very many, they said that it was a game for your phone. So it was like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board and we'll build a game for your phone. But that's where I am right now, is trying to do some fundraising for that, because just to get the minimum viable product onto a tablet or a phone is $40,000, and probably $200,000 for the ultimate game that we have in mind, which is amazing. It's like you get a call in your bedroom on your phone, and it's a voice from the future, and you see this dystopian world where we have just wiped out all of the wildlife, and you have to keep going back in time and figuring out what you had to set straight in order to save the world. And I think that's going to be just an amazing game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there like a specific date that you want to have that released? Because I'll probably be the first one in line, because that sounds really cool.
Yeah, sign me up. That actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like a wildlife quantum leap. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a date because I haven't raised the funds for it. Like I said, just the first step of it is $40,000, and I've been trying for a year to raise that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know raising capital, especially in this current environment with COVID and everything, is just like, it's cool that you're doing the augmented reality, just because that's like the shift that we're seeing everything going to now. But like on the flip side of that, you have to be able to market it well. And so raising the funds and everything, like we just went through this experience with Solar Dex where we had to like create new avenues to bring in that revenue that way. And so we really want to help you get that up and running, because one, like I said, we're huge fans of what you're doing, and two, I personally want to play that game, so
I want to play that game, and I don't even like games.
so with the raising the funds to it, is that where your cat coin comes into play and your NFTs too, or how can we have our community get involved with helping get you to that mark you're trying to hit too?
The fundraising that I have tried to do is bringing in people in other organizations that do that sort of thing. So there's a group called Quantum Intelligence, I think, Quantum something, and their business model is finding government funding to do this kind of thing for educational apps for the school system. And so since this has that element of, protecting endangered species and saving the planet and all of that, they felt like there would be money that they could raise for that. I have to personally raise $3.5 to $4 million every single year just to take care of the cats we have. And so I can't be spending my time trying to raise money for this game that I think will be, a huge benefit to the big cats in the end. But I have to take care of our cats first. So all of the NFTs and things that I'm currently working on are just taking care of the cats that we have. Just Monday, we, for the first time, reached out to the Typical Tigers group and the Apocalyptic Apes. And there's a situation in Thailand where 11 tigers and 2 bears have been left behind at the zoo that is closed in Phuket, Thailand, and the cats are just starving to death. They've placed all of the other animals from the zoo, but the tigers are the most expensive. And so what we're trying to do there is raise $22,000 to be able to rescue the tigers and get them to a sanctuary in Thailand. And I think we'll be able to do that. But it's the first time we've tried to do it with NFTs and with people in the crypto space.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the crypto community is huge as a conglomerate of supporters. So I just want to talk to the Solar fam right now. If you're hearing this, I'll include the links in our YouTube channel, but I encourage everyone to visit it, get educated upon this, just because Carole is doing great things for the community all together with the educational piece, but 2, for the big cat all together with just getting them out of captivity and having them actually live the lives like we all want to do. And so kind of a question for you, because I'm kind of fuzzy on it. Would they go to sanctuaries first and then release to the wild, or would they just be in the sanctuary to stay?
Unfortunately, the only cats that are legal to release to the wild are those who were born in the wild. All of the big cats that are in captivity in zoos and backyards and circuses and all of that, all of those cats were born in captivity, and so they aren't legal to be released anywhere. We do bobcat rehab and release. So if a bobcat gets hit by a car or shot by a hunter, we fix them up and put them back in the wild. But that's the only cats that are legal to release, are the ones that were born in the wild. So unfortunately, once they're born in a cage, they are stuck in a cage for the rest of their lives.
And that just kind of puts it into perspective too, that they shouldn't be there in the first place. And
Right.
yeah, because I can only imagine if they were born in a cage and even released to the wild, like they don't have like just the common knowledge of like hunting, gathering, being part of like their own community too. So it kind of baffles me that like one little thing that you might think, oh, this is a cute little cat. Well, that little cat's going to be a big cat. And if you have it for its whole life, it's not actually going to function as its cat, and its lifespan is like inevitably going to be drawn to very minimal scale too.
Yeah. Most of the big cats only live to be 10 or 12 in the wild and in most zoos and sanctuaries. But here at Big Cat Rescue, they live into their late teens and early 20s. And sadly, that means, the reason people go to zoos is they want to see those cute babies. Or if you saw in Tiger King, people want to pet those cute cubs. They're cute for about 5 minutes, and then they are expensive to take care of for the next 20 years. It costs me $10,000 per tiger per year just for their food and vet care, not any of the overhead of the sanctuary. And no private owner is going to put away that kind of money to take care of a tiger that they can't touch after it becomes an adult.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where like in today's society, it's like we want a puppy, but no one thinks about that puppy actually grows up and what all goes to it. And so I can only imagine it's the same thing. Like if you want to go pet the tiger, yeah, it's cute for 5 minutes, but then you don't see anything on the back end of what it's going through too.
Right.
So
And these guys they're equipped to roam hundreds of square miles. So there's no cage we're ever going to give them that's going to be sufficient.
yeah, you can just see them pacing cages in the zoo too, and it's just like, dang, like, man, I can barely run 1 mile, but doing 20 like in an hour, that's kind of crazy. But John, it looks like you have some questions too. I see you thinking over there. I want to pass it off too. I know I've been doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, so I guess just transitioning a little bit more into the crypto side, but although I guess before that I should just say I'm very blown away with the concept of your game. That actually sounds very fun. I'm a sucker for learning stuff and for like an educational game. So I'm right with the NFTs first. I'm second as far as downloading that goes. And then your cat coin. I don't know much about it, but I am intrigued by that. Does that have like any like use cases? How does that fit in your overall big cat rescue? Any more insight you could provide on that?
Yeah, we launched the cat coin on the rally.io platform. And what I love about that platform is they are integrated with something called Bonfire. So people can go there, they can buy the cat coin, and then they can redeem it for things in our gift shop. So I think there's like 3 different things that I currently have on there. In fact, somebody bought one this morning. So if they have coin, they can sell it to somebody else. They can hold on to it. They can do whatever they want, but they can also trade it back to me and get merchandise from our gift shop. So currently it's being used in that way. And Bonfire makes it easy. Like my biggest effort right now is to ban the cub petting and phase out private ownership through a federal law that would make those 2 things illegal. And I've been working on that since 1998, and we will probably get it done in 2022 because we have built our capacity to make this happen. But when people make what we call the call of the wild, they go to bigcatact.com and they can send a tweet, they can send an email, and they can even make a phone call to their member of Congress. And all you have to do is type in your address and it knows who your member of Congress is. You don't even have to know. We give you a little script to say, but we want people to do it. So when people do it, at the end, it gives them an opportunity to collect that coin, a piece of a cat coin, that they can then, if they make the call every week, they can then use that to buy merchandise out of our gift shop. And so that's how we've set the cat coin up, is currently in that format. But what I'd like to see is we have created a whole membership site behind bigcatrescue.org, and it's not open to the public yet, but what I want to do is gate it to the cat coin. So you have to have the cat coin to get into the membership area of Big Cat Rescue, and you would get like extra videos that other people don't get to see, or maybe one-on-one ask me anything Zoom meetings, or just all kinds of special things for the people who are supporting that cat community, that cat coin community. One of the things I've noticed over the years is that our fans frequently, we have so many supporters around the world, and they used to come to the sanctuary once a year for what we called Wildcat Walkabout or Safari Days. And some of the people couldn't afford to come. And so others would pay the way for somebody to come from Australia or from France so that they could be with all of the group that day at the sanctuary. And we can't do that since COVID. But if you use the same kind of theory that there's going to be wealthier people and poorer people in our community, that they could use that cat coin to let somebody else have access to the membership area by giving them, you know, trading it directly to them so that they could have access. And I know that they would do that because they're so generous. So I think it's got a lot of potential. We just haven't used it to its ultimate potential yet.
Oh, that's awesome. And to kind of
Yeah,
piggyback
awesome.
up, what was that, John?
It's awesome.
No, we all just said it was awesome. We're all in agreement. Go ahead.
Richard, do you think it's awesome?
He thinks it's awesome.
I think Richard's frozen.
I think he is too. I think he's having some connection issues or something.
That, or he's got this big grin stuck on his face.
He's a happy dude.
It's awesome. Go ahead, Ian. I can still hear you guys.
Well, you got like a model pose going on right now, so you got a good look. So get one of those going. But yeah, talking about the coin a little bit more too. Going on the coin, have you ever thought about having it as an actual tradable coin or having a different tradable coin as well to help raise those funds, not just to get into the community and hold them, but rather have those token prices go up so that they can actually go back into what you're trying to do as well?
I think Daze from what is now TigerQueen.io came to me in June or July of last year, and he wanted to create a Carole Baskin coin. And I just didn't feel comfortable with it because I didn't know enough about it. And my concern is that it would be considered a security if it was something where it had a value before it had, like with the cat coin, it's definitely a token. We're trading tokens for things people can buy in the gift shop. It's not, you're not buying the cat coin with any expectation of it increasing in value. And I just don't know enough about it to have given him the okay. So instead of calling it a Carole Baskin coin, he went out and created the Tiger Queen coin and came to me and showed me the tokenomics of it and what he was doing. And I thought he had a clever approach. He was giving 2.5% to charities. 2.5% was directed directly back into marketing, because I think if you're going to have any kind of successful project, you have to have a marketing budget. And then I think it was either 5 or 10% went back to what they call a moon bag. And they would invest those in 3 different levels of crypto. So you'd have like your Bitcoin and Ether, you'd have your Solana, and then you'd have your meme coins. And everybody who held on to their Tiger Queen coin would benefit by the virtue of that pool, that moon bag growing, hopefully growing. So I'm just kind of on the edge of that, watching what's going on, but I think he donated something like $10,000 worth of ETH and $5,000 worth of Tiger Queen to the sanctuary. So he's on my leaderboard. The Naughty Tigers are on my leaderboard, and Schrodinger coin donated about 5,000, I think. And so they're on my leaderboard. But none of the other projects that I've been involved in have created any kind of a income for the cats yet. So that's why they aren't on that board.
Okay. Yeah, now that you mention it, like there's a very fine line with like the legislation going around. We actually partner with like a lobbyist out of California that's actually getting Solar Dex out in DC to kind of fine tune those lines too. Just because you have the difference between the projects and then securities. So I can see definitely having a coin go straight into the foundation could be classified as a security. That's why we have a lobbyist and a firm out there, because my knowledge is close to nothing on that. But yeah, I think yeah, with the Tiger Queen coin, just having that, it definitely has to be third partied where it can be considered a charitable donation then, correct?
Well, I don't even know how that works. I mean, it's out of Canada for one, so they don't have to deal with the same things that we're dealing here with in the US. But it's my understanding that it's decentralized, so nobody really owns it. It's owned by the community, and the community has decided that this 2.5% would go to charity. And then the community is the ones who get together and vote on which charity they're going to support and with how much. So for me to accept a donation is not a problem at all, because I don't have any ownership in any of it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Like as soon as I started talking about it, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to go with this, because like the whole just ordeal around it is just kind of up in the air and gray right now altogether for the US. So him being based out of Canada is probably a huge W too.
What do you guys think about that? Because I think that the way that this becomes much more mainstream is if it is regulated and taxed. But I know there's an awful lot of people that don't want any regulation and tax. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah. My personal opinions, talking to, I'm just going to throw a little shout out there to JP Decent Associates out of California. Thank you guys. You guys have been awesome. But the reason why we really partner with them is because in their infrastructure bill that they propose in Congress, there's only like a simple paragraph that kind of encompasses all crypto, and is very vague on what can be considered like a transaction or anything like that. So what we're trying to do with Solar Dex too is have that self-regulation within the community. Just because I always say, and you can hear this on the old podcast, that like right now crypto is like the wild, wild west. Like everyone's just kind of firing off, winner take all. But we want to be the sheriff in town to kind of give it that self-regulation where we can actually say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, this is good. And so the government and the taxes can take a step back and see that we're actually being proactive and they don't have to be reactive to what's going on. And that's why we really want to eliminate the scams. We want to have the education for the community and provide a friendly, user-friendly and fun environment for investors to be the go-to exchange on the Solana network, so that with the government intervention, we can actually work hand in hand and not be on like the front lines of a war with government, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you never want to go to war with the government.
Yeah, that's like
You're gonna lose.
my top 10 things I never want to do. That's probably number 1, and probably number 1 through 10 actually.
So I mean, to kind of piggyback off what Ian said, like
You're a robot again, Richard.
and it's just a matter of time. Dang it. All right, never mind.
Well, we heard it was a matter of time. What's
Yeah.
going to be a matter of time?
Okay, sorry about this. Can you guys hear
Suspense is
me?
killing us. Yes.
We can hear you now, but not for long.
All right, let me make it quick. Basically, it's a matter of time till the government actually comes in and enforces heavy regulations on DeFi and cryptocurrency. So we want to be proactive as much as humanly possible. By partnering with JPDs, we can be the prime example to the government, like, hey, look what Solar Dex is trying to do to prevent scams, to safeguard investors. There already is a safe means out there. There's no need to basically dive in and just regulate this as much as humanly possible. So we want to be proactive on the safety aspect of this before the government just hammers it down.
Is there something other than the liquidity lock that you can do to keep the scammers out? How do you vet them?
So that's one of the issues. There needs to be a fine balance, because we, at the end of the day, we all love blockchain because it's decentralized. Like, no one's overseeing, no one's controlling anything. So we've been partnering with other Solana projects, but basically we don't want to make it too centralized. So like, hey, basically dox yourself, gain our trust, let's work together. And not only that, we're transparent to our community 110%. We're always on calls with them, like, hey, do you guys need help? Anyone having issues? So at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to investors' opinions of the project. We don't want too much oversight where, like, essentially we're Orca. We control who goes on our exchange. We still feel like there needs to be a freedom involved where anyone can go in, make a token and launch it on our exchange. But one of the biggest things, there's two big issues with DeFi. There's the rug pools where people just yank the liquidity out and then everyone loses money. And the other one is honeypots. Basically, people buy tokens where they can't sell them. You can buy them, but you can't sell them. So right now we're tackling half of the biggest issue with the rug pools, with the auto liquidity locks. As of right now, we're currently brainstorming with the dev team on how to combat honeypots. So we feel like—
And is that in the code when they first launched the project, that it says that it can't be sold? How do they keep people from selling it?
So are you familiar with Etherscan and BSC scan? So if you go and verify the contract on those websites, I would say 100% of the time, the honeypot tokens, they don't verify their contract code. So how they do the coding, no one knows. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like a hit or a miss. Like, I'm going to trust this project. I'm going to throw in a couple $100 and just see what happens. But my advice is never invest in a project where they're not verifying their source code.
Okay. So would a project like that not show up on Etherscan, or would it show up and say that it's not verified?
So if you go to, we'll just make up a token. We'll call it Bobcat token. So Bobcat tokens on Etherscan, you go type it in the search bar, it shows up. You got the contract address to Bobcat token. So there you would click on that contract address. If you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see a tab that says contract. And what the contract means is they verified their token code on Etherscan. And from there, you can basically read it. So you don't even have to be a full-on developer to understand it, but there'll be read functions and there'll be write functions. So generally you could see like, are they telling the truth on what percentage is being taxed, what percentage is being redistributed? So you can almost do like your intelligence gathering on a project before you invest, because you can just go through their source code, seeing if things line up. So with the honeypot tokens, you can type in that Bobcat token, you can scroll down, click contract, but if they didn't verify their contract code, it'll say unverified. And usually that's a
Okay.
huge red flag, because from there you have no idea what this token does. You're just literally taking someone's word for it at that point.
And do those succeed because people don't know how to check?
Yes. So we want to like also educate our users as well. So like we've been telling our users like, hey, this is Solana. It's vastly different, but similar. But hey, there's no liquidity locks, stuff of that nature. Like we want to educate people. Like we've taken calls with people who are unfamiliar with us. Before we launched, someone called us a scam. So I was like, hey man, let's talk to you on our next podcast. Let's see if we can gain your trust. And sure enough, Pickleball, if you're watching this, thank you for your support. So we got him. He was like, you guys are awesome. He's like, I didn't expect to talk to you guys one-on-one. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate and safeguard investors.
Well,
I'd
that's
say,
admirable.
yeah, we're trying. So 50% of the time, most projects are anonymous. We're not. We're out here doing video calls, trying to get our names out. The biggest thing, because from an investor standpoint, whenever I join like a Telegram channel prior to launch, it seems like most of the people are just in there for the FOMO. Like they want to make a quick buck. They don't fail to realize like, hey, maybe I should go check their source code. Maybe I should check their white paper. Maybe I should actually see if they have a website. Their biggest thing on their mind is like, I just need to double my money now.
Well, you can always count on people wanting to do a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, so greed is unfortunately the biggest downfall in crypto.
So what is your, like, what are the next steps you guys are taking to bring your idea into reality?
So as of right now, the token was fully launched about 2 weeks ago. Right now, the dev team is currently finalizing the dev beta version of the exchange. So we'll do an in-house beta testing. We'll create like a test token and make sure everything works. Once that gets our sign off, then we'll do a community beta test where we tell, hey, the community, like go in and try to break this exchange. And yeah, do what you can, try to wreck this, let us know what you find. And then from there, hopefully we can get those bugs sorted out. Optimistically, hopefully there won't be any bugs. But then from there, I would say full decentralized exchange, Dex rollout, end of January, worst case scenario, mid-February.
And is this, Ian, I think it mentioned wanting, or why I wasn't taking Catcoin to be a publicly traded coin. Is this a coin that you're trying to publicly trade? And if so, where does that get traded?
Sure. So right now, Solar is publicly traded. Right now, it's tradable on Radium, but it's also tradable on LBank. And LBank is a centralized exchange similar to Coinbase.
I've not heard of Radium or LBank yet. Radium?
Yep. RAYDIUM. But full disclosure, they're going to be our competitors here in a month, so we don't recommend them.
Okay. And they'll be your competitor because they'll be doing the same thing that you're doing?
Roughly.
Yeah.
Do you want to take it?
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, so we are both decentralized exchanges based on Solana, so therefore we are inherently going to be competitors. But we and our community both experienced during the launch of our token a couple hiccups. Things just didn't go very smoothly with Radium. Now the community doesn't trust Radium as much, and at that point, we kind of got some feedback like, oh yeah, for a moment I just got caught up in this is a token, but now I'm starting to remember that there's going to be a project at the end of all of this. That project's going to be a new and improved exchange with, you know, the liquidity locks and all the things that are going to draw people in. So yep, they're going to be our competitors, but we're quite confident in what we're doing. So
Yeah, so the community doesn't know this, but we're about to announce a partnership here in a couple weeks with another token that got screwed by Radium. So I'd say 3 out of the 5 people we've talked to that run projects have had nothing but bad experiences with Radium.
Wow. And yet your token is tradable there only because those are the only other 2 games in town?
Yep, unfortunately.
Makes sense. And is the name of the token itself Solar?
Yep, so name is Solar, ticker is Solar.
Good job on getting that. It's a great name.
I was kind of surprised too, to be honest, but it all works out.
Now, one of the things that I was kind of surprised when I was talking to Nick about Tiger Queen coin, he was saying that there are so many of those kinds of coins, those meme coins, that have the same name. And I find that, and when I was trying to search Tiger Queen, when I was looking to do my own due diligence without just listening to what he was telling me, it was like, there's all of these freaking coins that are called Carole Baskin, and other names. And it's like, I don't understand how that could be. It seems like there should be like some kind of a name registry or something that would prevent that.
Yeah, so unfortunately there's not. Right as we were getting ready to launch, someone created a fake Solar token, and yeah, they tried scamming our community.
Yeah, we weren't fans of that, to say the least.
oh no,
No.
kidding. Yeah, there were so many scams going on. Are you familiar with the Telegram messaging app?
Barely.
Well,
Today I figured out that Discord you can actually make a phone call. I didn't know that.
Actually, I didn't know that either. But yeah, there's just all sorts of scams going on at the time of our token launch in Telegram. Accounts faking each one of us. Fake. Yeah. Like I got DM'd by a fake support account for Solar Dex. I don't know. Just it was bad. We seem to have weeded that out by now. People aren't sending us screenshots anymore of these scammers, but man, it was rough for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a scammer pose as you, messaging you?
Yeah. So I am the moon, and then I got messaged by the moon.
Yeah, and that's why we try to keep a good community presence too, because like with other projects, they might not get the responses of like, hey, this is not actually me. Don't send them any like money or anything like that. But that's why we want to be really engaged, just so that we can have that presence and be like, okay, guys, like any questions? Is anything coming up? Are anyone reaching out to you? Just because I know I've fallen victim to scam, admittedly, but we're trying to prevent that as much as possible too.
Just such a crazy world out there.
Yeah.
I thought my life was crazy.
Download Telegram.
Yeah. You'll see crazy in a minute.
Worst decision you've ever made.
Yeah.
I actually was on, I think, Clubhouse the other day, and they were talking about all of the ways that people can scam you on Telegram. And so I went into my app and I like shut down everything that it could possibly access in my personality or my phone or anything to try and limit that.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems like with like computers and phones and all that, like once you hit that I acknowledge and sign whatever it says in there, it's just like, I don't know exactly what I just agreed to, but I hope it's okay. And like, I don't want to read through 42 pages, so I'm just kind of knocking on wood and crossing my fingers that everything's all right still.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But Richard, I think I cut you off. What do you want to say?
No, you're good. So I know we're coming close on time, but I guess one of the things we want to end with is how can our community help your cause? Because our community has been phenomenal. I've been involved as an advisor on several different projects. I've been an investor, of course, and I take pride in saying our community is definitely there to help. So what can we do to help your cause?
If you're for the viewers that you have or the fans that you have in the United States, the biggest thing they can do to protect big cats is to take action at bigcatact.com. But for everybody else, you guys are all on social media. And on social media, you have all of these con artists who are rolling around on the ground with what looks to be adult lions and tigers. They're really just juveniles. And people see that and they think, I want to do that. I want to be cool like that. And just today, a tiger was shot in a zoo because some idiot apparently had seen other people doing that and decided he was the janitor at the zoo, never allowed to go anywhere near the cat cages, but went over the railing and stuck his arm in a cage, and they had to kill the tiger to get him loose. And, you know, when we see people sending that wrong message by petting cubs or petting adults, then we need to call them out for the damage that they're doing to those cats.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I really want to have it as a call of action to our community too. Like, I know Richard, John, and I, we've already said we really support what you're doing out in the community, and we want to help support you too. So I encourage our community as well to help support Big Cat Rescue, help support getting the awesome game that Carole said was going to be released here. I want that so bad, and no one can make it happen but you guys. So I'll include the links, like I said, to the foundation, to everything that you need to know about Big Cat Rescue, and really try to drive that as much as possible because we're huge fans, like we said, and we want to help out as much as possible as well.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I love that you guys are working on something to make this entire experience safer for people. That really means a lot.
Hey, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we want to do what you're doing as well, but in a different space. We want that education, that fun feeling, but as well as just making it that safe space and as profitable as possible with everyone involved too.
Getting rid of the cheetahs.
That's right.
That's what's up.
We all need some bobcats in our life. Am I right?
That's right.
Hey, Bobcats.
Well, hey, Carole, we really appreciate your time. Sitting down, I know a lot of people are asking us, hey, why are you sitting down with Carole Baskin? And we're like, because she's awesome. And so that's pretty much the epitome of why we're doing this. But like we said, we want to show support any way we can. So we really appreciate you sitting down with us, learning more about us. And like I said, community, for all our viewers and listeners, like, subscribe, and share this video everywhere, especially with those links that we're going to include to help support Carole's cause as well. But we really appreciate you, Carole. And until next time, Solar Fam, this is Ian, Richard, and John signing off.
Don't forget me when you're famous.
Yeah, you'll be the first one we reach out to.
Yeah. Be like, is that game
100%.
done?
Yeah.
Thank you. That was fun.